Do y'all remember at the beginning of this case when I told you that Karmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf had a brief altercation that led to Karmelo Anthony stabbing Austin Metcalf right in the heart? Well, I'm here to tell you that there has been some video footage that has been released. Before we get into the video footage, I'm Tamera. You're watching the Tamera Nealy Show. I would like to welcome back all my returning subscribers. And if you're new here, I would like to let you know I'm happy you're here. I want to quickly get into a word of prayer. Before we get into prayer, though, I want to read a comment that I saw in the comment section. And I'm not going to say who said this, but I want to read this because it was on my mind. This person said, "Been there, done that. You can pray until the cows come home. Doesn't change a thing." I want to say this. The prayers of the righteous are powerful and effective. When it comes to prayer, the reason why I'm so confident in praying and bringing my request to God and talking to Him daily is because, it's truly because of something that happened before I was even born. While I was in my mom's stomach, the doctors told my mom that I would have some health complications. And my mom went home crying to her grandma, and she was like, "They're saying that my daughter is going to have some health problems." So my great grandma had faith, and she prayed over my mom's stomach, and my mom went back to the doctor, and the doctor told my mom that I would be perfectly healthy. And I did come out perfectly healthy. I believe that the prayers of the righteous are powerful and effective. When we pray, I want you to understand that it's for a reason. We're coming to the source, our source. I believe that Christ is my lifeline. He's my lifeline. Like, I can do nothing apart from Him. And so I just wanted to share that story before we get into prayer, just so you understand that faith does change things. And faith without works is dead. So obviously you got to put your faith into action. But I do believe that prayer is the answer today. Lord, thank you for today. Thank you for who you are. Thank you for each and every subscriber watching this video. I pray that today your peace rest on them, Lord, as they're going through their evening, going through their day, going through their week, Lord. Help them to know that you are their God. Help them to surrender everything to you because you truly do love them with all your heart. And help us all to love you with all our hearts. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and get into the first segment of today's show. I also want to shout out Damon2772 Normad for the super thanks. Damon says, "Parenting is not always about presents. Karmelo's dad proves that. Keep up the good journalism." Thank you so much, Damon, for your support. I want to also answer this question because last show people were asking, how do we know that that was Karmelo Anthony's dad in the last video? Well, I'll tell you this. If it was not Karmelo Anthony's dad, best believe that Dominique Alexander would have let us know that it was not, Karmelo Anthony's dad. We have seen time and time again, Dominique Alexander looking for any opportunity to show how involved and how important he is in this case. So I'm under the impression that it was Karmelo Anthony's dad for that reason. However, allegedly it was him, and we'll leave it at that. We don't know. I can't tell you 100%. I'm 100% certain that it was his dad. Just like when I pointed out that I saw a photo in the, I believe, right-hand corner of that video of Hunter and Austin, and I was wondering who that was. So I'll leave that at that. Let's go ahead and get into this video.
To tell how many people are under that memorial tent. It's also hard to tell what they're doing. But we do know that about 9:55, there's a lot of commotion, a lot of activity that happens at the top side of that memorial tent all the way down to the bottom. At this point, it is hard to tell, and it does not show on camera the alleged stabbing.
So I want you guys to keep what he just said there in mind. He said that at 9:55, they saw some movement that was happening in the tent. Okay? And that movement is obviously between Austin Metcalf and Karmelo Anthony. I'm going to point out a couple more things as we go through as we go through the show. But I want you to remember what this mainstream media reporter said. Okay? So let's keep going.
We do know that there are a lot of people that run away from that scene soon after. We notice a number of what appear to be students running across the bleachers from many directions away from the tent. More people on the field start to notice and also run toward the back gate and exit. Okay, at about 9 minutes after the alleged stabbing, we see EMS.
So the kids were running out because they were afraid. My question is who all has video of the event? Because from what I'm hearing, there were people running out and there were people running toward the altercation between Karmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf. Why is the video footage not being released to the public? And the reason why I'm asking this question is because think about this. Back in 2020, George Floyd had happened. Best believe that footage was released as soon as possible. That is the reason why all of us heard about George Floyd, is because the bystanders have released the footage. I think that Frisco ISD, I believe that the Frisco Police Department, everyone who is involved in authority in this case has been playing games and has been protecting Karmelo Anthony, which is not fair to the victim in this case, who is Austin Metcalf. It does not make sense to me that we cannot see the video footage and we're having to rely on what these news reporters are saying. Now, in the next segment, we are going to get to a more reliable source who can kind of get down to the bottom of this, even though we do appreciate this insight as well. And then I want to point out to something to you that I noticed in an article that I read that no one is talking about. So let's keep going.
Drive right through to the backside of this stadium and they park midfield. Next, we notice paramedics wheeling out a gurney, but have to walk all the way back to the gate and to the bleachers. There's a lot of activity at the bottom of those bleachers and what appears to be the triage of Austin Metcalf. 15 minutes after the incident, we see people put the tarp over the bleachers, which our helicopter cameras captured. All right, so looking at the time.
And I want to point out something to you, just quickly. Notice here, this is the tent right here that the incident happened. The brief altercation happened that should have led to both boys walking away. Instead, one of them has lost their life and another one is facing life in prison. This is why parents have to teach their kids conflict resolution skills. We heard what Karmelo Anthony's dad allegedly said last week on TikTok. And he is one of the reasons why Karmelo Anthony has ended up doing what he did on April 2nd. Because he lacks accountability and discipline. And y'all can see this tent right here. This tent, people were like, oh, well, he should have been able to go sit in their tent and this and that. He could have sit in all these other tents. I see another tent here. I don't know how many tents were there, but you can see that there were other options. And people are saying, well, it was raining. You're acting like he's allergic to rain. Karmelo Anthony ain't allergic to rain. Karmelo Anthony has an ego issue. And now that I've watched and heard the video of his dad, I understand Karmelo Anthony even better. Because I see no accountability coming from his father, which tells me everything I need to know. And I hope that what the father did is sent to the court, because he shouldn't have said what he said. Austin Metcalf lost his life for no reason at all. Now, let's finish this. I wish the media would have kind of given us kind of a brief overview of what happened before they posted this video, because I don't like how they're acting so nonchalant about it. This is a huge deal. If this person was black, if Austin Metcalf was black, and I don't want to have to bring race into it, but it is relevant, because we see that when black people get into a situation where they are harmed and their life is taken for what is believed to be no reason, we see riots happening on the street. But because Austin Metcalf was white, his story gets very little coverage. And to me, that's very problematic. To me, that's not right. So anyways, I want to quickly also note, I had said to one of the subscribers that I was going to kind of talk about the riots that have been happening in California, in LA, and around the country. I've decided I'm going to kind of stay out of this. That's not something that I believe that I want to cover on this show, but I do want to play a video for you at the end. It just dawned on me. So I will play this video that I saw on Instagram at the end to kind of give you a little taste of, my thoughts, I guess you could say, on that issue. But let's keep going.
And so looking at the timing, there's 26 minutes between the time of the alleged stabbing and the time EMS leaves Kirkendall Stadium with Austin Metcalf. At the same time, what appear to be officers, they are at the crime scene right next to that tent. All of this video will one day be shown in court. A grand jury may see it too in the coming weeks. The attorney for Karmelo Anthony confirms he's seen it, but neither family has disclosed whether they've seen it.
We already know that the families have seen it. Do y'all remember Dominique Alexander's first ever press conference that he did when the news media asked him, were there videos? And he said, yes, there were videos. He never once asked for the videos to be released. He said, oh yeah, they're going to be released at some point. But I could see on his face that he did not want those videos released. The question is, why did Dominique Alexander not want the videos released? Let's be real and let's talk about it, because we already know what the real issue is. Next segment. Okay, so quickly, I want to read through what Sarah Fields had to say about this. Sarah Fields is the reporter that Dominique Alexander attacked earlier in the case for exposing his criminal history and posting his mugshots, and also making sure that he's being held accountable in front of the public. Because we all know that Dominique Alexander has been trying to paint his own narrative, but he has also been his downfall, because every opportunity he gets, he's trying to plug in his organization, NGAN, and he's constantly getting bad news coverage. Not only because of his mugshots, but also because of his fake bootleg security detail. Now, I have several videos over this. You can always go watch the videos that I already have over this, but I cover all of that previously. Be sure to hit the subscribe and like button. Here's Sarah Fields' comment. Many people seem confused about why this video was allowed to be seen, which parts were permitted for viewing, and other details. Allow me to clarify. And if you have questions, I'm happy to answer. Okay, thank you, Sarah Fields. I appreciate your journalism. So Sarah Fields goes on to say, I have seen the video via ORR open records request. The actual stabbing event cannot be seen. Only the moments before and after. So my question is, what kids have the video footage? Because we know that we live in the age of social media. Who has close-up video footage of the incident? Surely somebody does. And I want those videos to be released. I am calling for those videos to be released to the public. This case is way too big for those videos to not be released by now. The public has been waiting patiently, and the public deserves to see the video footage. So then Sarah Fields goes on to say, you cannot see what is happening. You cannot identify faces. The footage is very grainy and recorded from far away, the opposite side of the stadium. The actual stabbing is not known, as this portion is being withheld by the DA for possible evidence in the case. See, I don't understand that. If I'm being honest, I don't understand that. Because like I said, if this was a situation like what happened to George Floyd, you already know the videos would have already been released. The media would have had big headlines. Black person, black kid killed by white kid at track meet. For no reason. You already know the media would have been all over this. It says the actual stabbing is not shown as the portion being withheld. Okay. However, I've been told that much of it may not be admissible since nothing is clearly visible. After the stabbing, EMS arrives on the scene 9 minutes later. Which I thank God for the first responders. 9 minutes is kind of a long time, especially thinking about Austin Metcalf running down the bleachers, because this is what has been reported, that Austin Metcalf ran down the bleachers saying, help, help. He's holding his heart as he's taking his last breaths. He dies in his twin brother's arms. You cannot tell me that this is not problematic. You can see an individual running down the bleachers, tripping and falling, then getting up and continuing to run. This individual was Karmelo. The publicly released clip has no evidentiary value. Unfortunately, many fake reporters and activists defending Anthony have used this video to claim they saw the evidence. They saw absolutely nothing. I reported this weeks ago, but for the first time, I'm grateful the mainstream media is finally catching up. Now, everyone knows that people like Tiffany Billions and other disruptors are lying about claiming it was quote unquote self-defense. I quickly want to point out this, because we know that people have been saying you hear Carmelo Anthony's supporters saying, oh, it was self-defense. Austin Metcalf and Hunter Metcalf fought Carmelo Anthony. He had no choice. He was just so afraid for his life. He was so afraid that when he stabbed Austin Metcalf in the chest, when he was the only one with the knife, he ends up running away because he's so afraid. If somebody was that afraid and they were doing it for self-defense, they would have stayed there. They would not have ran away. They would not have disposed of the evidence, which Carmelo Anthony ended up throwing in the bleachers. We have looked over the police report several times. This case is not looking too good for Carmelo Anthony. If you still believe that this case is looking good for Carmelo Anthony, you are living under a rock. You are not actually being honest with yourself, and you are deciding to live in a world of delusion. I want to read to you a comment that someone left on my page. Somebody left this comment on my page. I will not say who this person was, but they said, again, we are all saddened by the death of Austin. Oh, you know, when they say something like that, you already know they're not really sad. But anyways, it says, we are all saddened by the death of Austin, and our condolences go out to the Metcalf family. But, notice they said, but the truth is the truth. The truth is the truth. Is the truth really the truth? Because anyways, Karmelo didn't choose violence. Oh, bringing a knife to a school after a school event after you've already been suspended for bringing a knife previously is not choosing violence. Pulling a knife on someone who did not have any sort of weapon on them, who only asked you and told you to leave their school tent, is not choosing violence. Please tell me how that's not choosing violence. So he goes on to, this person goes on to say, Austin and Hunter were the ones who approached Karmelo, and Austin decided to shove Karmelo twice. So Austin's, I don't know what this person meant here. So Austin's is unalive because of his fault. Keep in mind, that's what they wrote. Now, I want to draw your attention to this. Here it is, right here. Shout out to, let me see, CBS News for posting this. So here it says, at approximately 9:55 a.m., a sudden movement is seen under the tent, followed by an interaction between two figures. Did you hear 3 figures or did you hear 2 figures? Do you see 2 or 3 figures here, right here? I see where it says 2 figures. Frisco ISD officials say this is the moment the stabbing occurred. Several people are seen walking or running away while others approach the area. Stop with the narrative. And I think that some people need to stop with the narrative that Austin Metcalf and Hunter Metcalf were there to jump Karmelo Anthony. That just was not the case. There has been no evidence that has come out to show that that was the case. Just because someone asks you to leave their school tent because maybe they're suspecting that you're stealing or maybe they don't know who you are, does not mean that you get to then pull a knife out on them and stab them in the heart. It takes a lot to stab someone in the heart. So let's be real about that. That is not something that you can just do without thinking about it. That's why I said in a previous video that I believe that it was premeditated murder. This is a very sad story between 2 young boys who had a bright future ahead of both of them. Austin Metcalf had a lot going for him, and Karmelo Anthony had a lot going for himself. Let's be real about the consequences of this case. I want to shout out one more subscriber before the show is over. Shout out to Carino6986. Thank you for this comment. She said, thank you for sharing your hair story. My daughter is biracial. I have thick, wiry hair, and her dad has afro hair. The Kenyan lady who used to do my daughter's hair said it was the hardest hair she's had to deal with. I'll pass on your book recommendation to my daughter. Thanks again. I loved your video. You've gained a new subscriber from Scotland. God bless you. Shout out to you. Thank you so much for your love and support. Quickly before we end this video, I want to share this clip from my Instagram page. Okay? I'm not going to comment too much. I have not been led to talk about the riots, the protests, and things like that. I'm leaving that in other people's hands. But I did, in God's hands. I'm going by the leading of the Lord here, but I do want to show you guys this clip. So I want to play this clip really quickly from Terrence Williams, and then let's go ahead and close out the show. He is going to say some inappropriate language that I will beep out. If there are children watching the show tonight, please be aware of that. This show is obviously for adults, but I just want to let you guys know before we get started with it.
I don't even know where to begin. Before I get started, I'm giving everybody a fair warning right now. If you have sensitive ears, watch another video, because I am not about to watch my language. I am not about to hold back at all. I'm going to say what is exactly on my mind, okay? If you are waving a foreign flag in this country, if you are waving a foreign flag in America while burning down the city, rioting, causing chaos, screaming at federal agents, screaming at law enforcement, get the out of this country and go back to the country that you love so damn dearly. Get the here, bye. Go back to the country that you love so much. Because if you hate America, because evidently you hate this country, to be sitting here, to be running around waving a foreign flag while burning down police cars, while looting, rioting, screaming your love for another country while in America, go back home. Take your asses back home. We don't even want you here at all. And I hope President Donald Trump deport every single last one of y'all. Every single last one of y'all. And for the people and for the Americans, for the Americans that are acting brand new, that are acting like they never heard of a president deporting illegal immigrants, Barack Obama, you know, the man that y'all love so much, the man that y'all consider your God, Barack Obama, he deported over 3 million illegal immigrants. Actually, he deported more illegal immigrants than President Trump. But there was no outrage. There were no riots. There were no protests at all. Now, Biden did not deport enough people. He deported a little bit, but not enough. But there was no riots. There were no protests. Nothing. But y'all won't act like y'all just heard about deportations. Like y'all never, ever heard of anybody being deported. If you are an American citizen, you should be against deportations. If you are an American citizen, you should be disgusted when you see these animals waving a foreign flag while burning down a city. You should be disgusted with them. And shame on you if you are walking side by side with these illegal immigrants while they burn down the city, while they harass and assault federal officers, federal agents. Shame on you. To sit there and watch these, to sit there and walk beside a bunch of illegals who are harming our police officers, screaming at federal agents, screaming at troops, disrespecting our troops, threatening our troops, threatening federal agents, all these people who put their lives on the line every single day to protect them, to protect the American people. Get them out of our country right now.
All right, y'all. Thank you for watching this episode of the Tamera Nealy Show. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I want to thank y'all for your love and support. I love y'all so much, and you'll hear from me soon. Talk to you guys later.